Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today we are talking about Expanse episodes 3 and 4. We have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and we have Holly Michelle. Hello, Holly.
Hello, and I have my dogs as well.
The dogs are here, and unfortunately we do not have Dave. Dave couldn't make it. He had to be called in to the mines of Ceres.
Well, Ubu and Storin will stand in. They just hopefully won't say much.
Yeah. Well, so we are on to the episodes Remember the Cant and CQB, which is Close Quarters Combat. So, How
are you liking it so far?
I'm enjoying it. I've skipped ahead now. I've watched all the way to episode 6. I did that today when I had a little extra time. So I'm loving it. This is great, and I love this world. It's so fascinating. Like this humankind getting out through the solar system and how we would do things, and it's like high tech, but still kind of low tech compared to like Star Trek or Star Wars, so it's kind of cool to see that stuff. How about yourself?
It feels so believable.
Yeah.
There's a lot that they're bringing into the show, I think, that makes it feel like this could actually happen. Not necessarily, even the special effects, like it's, like you said, it's kind of high tech, low tech. It's a good blend because, like, you don't just automatically see something that's extremely CG and you're like, well, that's obviously not supposed to be there.
Right.
So, like, this doesn't have that, which is cool. But also, like, the political stuff, the cultural stuff, everything that they thought about to bring into the show really helps it feel believable.
Yeah, it's so robust. Like you're saying, like even the cultural things, like the Belter Creo. We get the whole, like you said, the political side of like what's going on with the Belters compared to Earth and Mars, and so much world to get into. And I feel like we're going to get into it even more as episodes progress and as this next seasons progress. We're going to see so much more. So it's so exciting. So I'm loving it. And this I cannot believe that Sci-Fi let this go. And I'm very happy that Amazon picked it up.
Yeah. I mean, Sci-Fi's let a lot of good shows go. But they've also produced some really great. I mean, they've produced some real crap. But
oh my God.
one of my favorite movies is a sci-fi TV movie called I think it's called Outlander.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Right.
It's a sci-fi. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I've heard a lot about it, and it's one of those things I definitely want to watch.
Yeah, it's like some guy from space falls to Earth, but it's like way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. For some reason, I really like that movie. But they've done some really terrible movies, and then they've done some wonderful things.
Oh, I know. Especially early 2000s, there were some awful movies they came out with. I remember watching and feel like, why is this on TV? Like, I was just like, oh, so bad.
There's one, Felicia Day is red, like, she's like, I don't know. What's it called? I think it's called Red.
Red?
You'll have to watch it. If you like Felicia Day, you should watch it. It involves werewolves and werewolf hunting.
Okay.
And like,
but it's not good.
It's good because Felicia Day is in it.
Okay, right. That's about it. Right.
Yeah. It's fun. It's just like, oh God.
I can't believe
One of
that
those sci-fi movies.
I cannot believe they let the show go, and I'm so happy that Amazon picked it up. So this is cool stuff.
And when Amazon picked it up, didn't a lot of the production crew and producers like go with it?
I don't know. I had to look up that, but
because it's like Ion Productions or something, and then I don't know. I haven't seen anything past where we are today. I'm not going forward. I'm not gonna look ahead.
Yeah, I had to skip ahead a couple of it because I was just like, I want to know what happens next.
I need to know.
I know. People need to know these things. So, we'll have to find out more about that. Like if the production crew, I mean, obviously the actors that are still in there move on into the stories, but
are they though? Do you know that?
I don't know. I don't know if somebody dies, and I don't know, like, or if they get written off the show or whatever. But I do wonder if like the production crew and stuff like, because I can't imagine that they'd want to rebuild a lot of these sets and stuff like that. That they want to keep most of them. So
I mean, actually, speaking of sets, I feel like there are a lot of There's a lot of repurposing.
I'm sure.
Of these sets, and I like it.
Yeah.
If
they're smart how they do it,
Yeah. I've slipped out of like the movie Magic a couple of times, just like appreciating the sets.
Yeah. Yeah, no, a good set can really make or break something. I mean, like, I know you're a fan of Doctor Who. I mean, you go back some earlier Doctor Who's and like the sets really be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's where my theater-ness is like appreciating, like, oh yeah, I built something like that in high school once.
I know. And if you go back to those early 70s ones and like of Doctor Who, they're even worse. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. I love Pertwee. He the Third Doctor was one of my favorites, like series. So maybe it was just the writing, but yeah, and some of the things you're just like.
And you're like, wow, this is bad.
Yeah.
But people didn't know any different back then. They were like, ooh, sci-fi.
No, it was glorious back then. It was like, I was, what was the classic film? I had a classic film channel on earlier today, and I didn't catch the title of the film because it was on YouTube TV, and I only got the last like 5 minutes of it. But it was pretty much like the story of Jesus Christ and this Roman soldier who kind of says screw you to the Caesar whatever of Rome, and then he and his lady love walk off, and then they'd go into heaven, and it's like I don't know, you just appreciate film. When you watch classic film, you just appreciate everything that they do, and that's how I feel about Doctor Who. Even though it looks like, the Cybermen look like cardboard weird.
Oh, I know, they're so bad
things. Like you appreciate it though, because you're like, because like that took a lot of work and design. And look at where they've come now, and so you just appreciate it.
It's like when you see cosplay, like somebody like, it's maybe not like film quality, but I've seen so many cosplay where it's like, someone spent 6 months working on this thing,
right?
And it's like they put their heart and soul, and like you gotta appreciate it just on that level alone. Just like somebody really put a lot of love into that costume or that. Whatever they're, cosplaying as. And I don't have patience for that. I have respect for it though.
Right.
So
if anybody is listening and they are Southern California listeners, I know the San Diego Bumblebee, and his stuff is amazing. He's got a couple of different Transformers that he's got, and his daughter is his technician. Like, wow. They're just, and he's the nicest guy. And I'm just like, I'm in awe by him because he'll do props like for, like, he made a Maui hook for like a kid that like needed it. Like, he's just, yeah.
That's cool.
People who build that kind of stuff are just, I love you. You're amazing. I can't do that.
Bring magic to the world.
Right, you do. Like, it was a pain in the ass for me to make my my Vibe glasses. It was fun. but
Yeah.
it was tedious, and I made glasses and I bought fingerless gloves, and I said, I am vibe.
Did you talking about Bumblebee? Did you see the Bumblebee movie that came out?
I haven't watched it yet.
That is actually so. I've unfortunately had to suffer through all the Michael Bay Transformer movies because my son was into Transformers for a long time. Mm-hmm. And just recently, what is it, a year ago, the Bumblebee movie came out, and I was like, ooh. And it's actually really good.
Is it?
I'm not going to say you're going to be like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. But like, if it's on, or if you have a chance to watch it, you will not regret watching it. It is fun.
Because I liked the first Transformers movie. That was enough. But
but then it gets repetitive, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. And then with the dinosaurs, I was like, what are we doing?
I'm out.
So when it came time to like watch Bumblebee, I was like, I'm good.
No, I'm telling you, it's much, and it's a totally different. And I hope that they make more movies of the Transformers in that feel.
Okay.
So, anyways,
we got
way off topic. All right, let's get back to
the show.
Let's get welcome to the show. Let's get into the full show recap. So this is episode 3, Remember the Cant, and this came out on December 22nd, 2015. And we start off, so Holden, if we remember, just before the Canterbury was destroyed, or no, after the Canterbury was destroyed, and they were kind of like in their little shuttlecraft, lost in space, damaged, they sent out a message, and the message basically saying that Mars destroyed the Canterbury. Yeah. And so now we're seeing that Holden's message is being
broadcast
all over.
On planet Earth. I'm curious who received it and who transmitted it down to Earth, because I gotta say they're probably closer to the belt.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's the O.P.A. that did that. And so the O.P.A. probably were like, "Oh, did you get this? Oh, we're going to put it to all the news, channels,
Oh, yeah.
And so everyone's getting all stirred up about
in a tizzy.
Yeah, about the Cant. So I had problems with the name last time. So it's not Gaia, it's Gia, is the the prostitute that Havelock comes, and she's teaching him the Belter Creo. So right. They have a connection. I'm not really sure if this is like a love thing, or if just
not sure if it's like romantic or
just like a big brother looking after somebody, because
I was actually thinking they could be siblings.
I don't know, because he's from Earth. Yeah, he's from Earth, and she's from the.
She's from there.
Ceres, but
is he really from Earth? Because what all do we actually know about him? Because
maybe it
was just we don't know very much. And and later on, I'm like, okay, maybe there is something weird going on with this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So he goes in. He's teaching. Gia's teaching Havelock, the Creo, the Belter Creo,
and then the Belters.
Yeah, and then he gets pulled away because there's a Star Helix meeting, and basically that because of the Canterbury being destroyed, and this is obviously having impact with water and stuff like that coming to Ceres, because they would have brought it to Ceres and it would have been processed. The ice would have been processed, so they would have made have water on Ceres. So they're using this as a political motive that the O.P.A. saying the Martians destroyed the Cant, so we wouldn't get our water. They're treating us like shit. This is just another thing, again, that these Earth and Mars are treating the Belters like garbage. And they want to have the O.P.A., the Outer Planets Planet Alliance, wants independence, or they want their own type of government. And so they're getting everything worked up and getting like these protests and these marches, I guess. And and so in the Star Helix, they have a meeting basically saying, we don't want to arrest the O.P.A., no beating people up, let's just try to keep the peace, So then Joe Miller, the detective, which is Havelock's partner, he got that job to look for Julie Mao, and he basically goes to his chief saying, "Hey, I looked into Julie Mao. She was on the Scopuli, and it looks like the Scopuli was destroyed, so she's probably dead." And she goes, "Oh yeah, fine, whatever. Just close up the case and move on." And he's still not really convinced. He thinks there's more going on there.
Me too, to be fair.
Yeah, no, there's definitely more going on there.
But like my Me Too is more like because of the things I've seen, not because of things he's seen.
Right.
So like I don't know why he's still fixated, because from what I am seeing, or what we are seeing as the audience, yeah, it's like, okay, somebody scooped her up because she was still alive.
Right.
But that's nothing indicating that to him. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, where's this obsession coming from? Does he know her?
He doesn't know her. So a lot of people, well, we'll get into it more, but a lot of people think like, oh, cute rich girl. So obviously either you got a thing for her, or you're going to try to bilk them for money, the family for money, when you find out more information. Right,
because like he's not like a by the book lawman. He's
on the take a lot. He's very
yeah. So like, why now?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she's beautiful,
right? But
I get it, but I don't get it.
But she's either dead from being on the Scopuli, or she's way off somewhere else in off Ceres. So he's obviously not going to be interacting with her anytime soon.
Maybe he's interested in the case because it'll get him away from where he currently is.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's possible. Very possible. And then we go to the Navy, the Mars Navy ship. So the crew of the surviving crew of the Canterbury were picked up. And they're being kind of like processed, and Alex, the pilot, gets separated. They kind of
you
like
hear a different little note, and I was like, "Oh, that motherfucker's Martian."
Yeah, they take him away, and they're like, "Where are you taking him?" And then they put them all in cells, and Amos gets hot-headed as usual, and he gets tased and put down. So there's a little, yeah, exactly.
I want to be sedated.
And then
nowhere to go. Oh,
it would have been funny if they played the Ramones during that. And then they're going to start interrogating all of them. So that's the next thing. Then we jump to the UN, and we get that Chrisjen. She meets an old friend, Franklin DeGraaf, and he is a U.S. ambassador to Mars. Mm-hmm. And she's like, he says, with all this, yeah, you're coming to dinner. And he's like, I'm no fun. He goes, yeah, you're never any fun, but your husband is. So she brings him to dinner asks him to come over to dinner. But apparently
she doesn't ask.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He even says something along the lines of like, "You've never taken no for an answer," and she's like, "Well, if it makes you feel better, you're the best pushover."
Yeah, it's like you always roll over, right? Exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so and we find out they've known each other for a very long time. We don't know that
later on, yeah.
But, and back on Ceres, then we get there's like the march going on. It's kind of it's going into violence, and they're saying, "Remember the Cant." That's that's the phrasing that they're using, the slogan, and it's just things are getting kind of ugly. So during that time, Joe Miller, the detective, tells his I guess captain or whoever he's reporting to that Muss, the lady Muss, Octavia Muss, he's like, "I'm just going to leave for an hour." She's like, "What?" And he just takes off. So obviously Joe Miller is just like, I don't know, he's kind of a shitty cop. You know, he's got a job to do, and he's just not doing it.
Just not doing it.
Yeah. And then we jump back onto the Navy ship, and we're being this character Lopez starts interrogating Holden, and basically he insinuates all these things, trying to get him to get a reaction. He takes this pill. I haven't looked up what that pill was that Lopez is taking, but it makes him more maybe attuned or alert.
It's kind of funny because, we're reading Dune and there's a truth sayer. Right. I feel like this helped him see the truth.
Yeah, maybe so it's watching like different things, they're how they act or how they how they breathe and body posture. Like,
exactly. So like instead of them drugging the person to get it's like a truth serum for that person, they are trained to understand how to read when they use this drug. It just seemed like that was, which I really did not like him.
Yeah.
For this episode, I was like,
He doesn't have a likable face for sure.
Well, it's not that he has a dislikable face. It was more like, this guy's really manipulative. Like,
yeah, he's trying to get him to say things and whatever,
But it didn't seem to me that he was trying to get them to say truths. It felt like he was trying to get them to say lies, like to believe a lie, but to make the person think it was their idea. I don't know. Maybe I fell into a rabbit hole there, but
but that is a thing. I mean, honestly, if cops are investigating things, they're going to throw out things and see if they get a reaction, and they're going to say shocking things to see, like, either going to be like, what, like, no, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? Or or maybe they know something, kind of thing. You know?
Right. But like he insinuates that what's her name,
Naomi,
is O.P.A. That Naomi is O.P.A. And then goes for her, and it's like he insinuates that. Oh God, I'm so bad with names. I have to read names to remember them.
Names.
What's the dude's name? What's the acting exo's name? The acting exo.
Holden.
Holden. Yeah. And then he insinuates that Holden is a traitor. And it's just like, I understand that you're interrogating and that you're trying to get people to give each other up. But I was like, I don't like you. like you're taking a drug to see truth. I feel like you should be looking for the truth. And yet here you are, you're planting seeds and you're being dishonest.
But he's also trying to get in their heads to break the crew apart. So first he says, he talks to Holden and said, so you were, you used to be on one of the naval ships. And he goes, yeah. And he says, I took a swing at one of my superiors. And
which just made me like Holden more. Like, I don't remember which one of you said you didn't like Holden, but I wanted to be like,
Dave doesn't like
disagree.
Holden. Yeah, Dave doesn't like Holden, yeah.
Well, Dave, I fucking disagree. I was not in the mood to fight with my friends last week.
I'll tell you later on who I dislike the most, but I won't tell you right now.
Okay.
But there's a character I don't like, and maybe it's changing after I've seen, but up until these 2 episodes, I still did not like this character. Anyways, and then this guy that it's interrogating brings out that maybe O.P.A. is Naomi was an O.P.A. sleeper agent and helped destroy the Cant, and he's like, that's impossible. And he's like, well, how does she know all this stuff to fix things? How is she so good at all this? She's this it's beyond.
Your little Jimmy rig job shouldn't have worked, but Naomi made it happen.
Yes, exactly. It's like, well, maybe she's really fucking good at her job. So anyway, so he's planting these seeds. So, and then now we're jump back to Ceres, and we're on the docks, and Joe Miller's there, and Joe Miller is starting inspecting all these crates and everything. Mm-hmm. And there, he starts asking around for a character named Anderson Dawes, and we don't know who he is yet, but he's a big wig for the O.P.A. So we get that, and then we jump over to back on Earth. We have Chrisjen, and we have Franklin DeGraaf, and his and they're respective husbands, and they're all sitting there talking about wine and everything.
Recycled wine. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
am I drinking your urine?
This is delicious. Right. It's great. But so then Chrisjen later tells DeGraaf that we have an operative that was carrying stealth tech, and it's Martian. So this must be a Martian thing using stealth tech. And DeGraaf's like, no. That's not the case. It's definitely not the case. And she goes, well, you're. I would think that it is, because that's how else would you get the stealth tech kind of thing. So she's like puts a seed of like what's going on with Mars, and because he's the UN ambassador to Mars, he's obviously going to find out about this. And then we go back onto the Mars Navy ship. The Donnager is the Navy ship that they're on. Amos finally wakes up, and he's kind of like getting in the guard's face and trying to get him to fight him some more. And they take Naomi to do interrogation. And then we also Holden is put into a room with Alex, and Alex is in his full Martian uniform. And
I was like vindicated at that moment. I was like, I knew it. Like, I didn't have an inkling before until the little chime on the DNA scanner thing, but I was like, oh,
right. He's Martian. So he's Martian, and he's like, yeah, I served, and unlike you, because I was like, and it's funny, he goes, I just realized I don't know any of you people. Like, I don't know, your pasts are all like, you have these sorted pasts. And that Holden used to serve, and he was dishonorably discharged because he attacked a commanding officer.
Which, being in the military, I gotta say, like, boot officers are trash. Like, they're not trash. They're not. Sorry, guys, you're not trash. Let me rephrase.
Maybe they make bad choices sometimes.
No, like they'll come into the fleet as a lieutenant, and they'll look at an E9 who's been in for 18 years, and they'll tell him that he's an idiot and that they're not going to listen to his experience or what he has to say. And it's just like, yes, you're an officer. Yes, you are. Good job. Congratulations. Your job is to evaluate your assets and win the day. And you're in charge of doing that. So you need to really look at your crew and figure that out. Exactly. There are some that make really bad decisions. So, like, this guy was in, what's the pilot's name again?
Alex.
He was in for 20 years. And then he got out and joined the ice capades. Ice
pirates. I know, but it's funny. Later he doesn't say it right now, but he says, "I was a glorified bus driver."
Right.
So like, he was a pilot, but he was like, just this guy just transporting people back and forth, Which,
but I don't think he was actually. I think he kind of talked himself up there, because later on in the fourth episode, he's like, "I've never done this before. Be gentle."
I know, right? Exactly. So,
what?
I know it's so. But we get that reveal that he was a Martian officer, or not officer, but pilot. He served in the Martian Navy. And then Naomi's being interrogated as well, and she is, that's the interesting interaction between both of them, between this Lopez, the guy who's interrogating her, and Naomi.
The guy you think doesn't have a friendly face.
He's very hawkish face. I'm not going to lie. He's
hawkish. That's an interesting. Yeah. I was thinking it was very like Norwegian, sweet.
Oh, it is very much so. It's strange that he's got a name Lopez though.
Right. Well, the guy in the belt, he speaks like he's from somewhere in Asia.
Yeah.
And he's this white-haired white, obviously white dude. He
White
probably had red hair because it's now like white.
White, yeah, right.
Anyway, sorry.
No, it's cool. And so he insinuates that she's O.P.A. and she's kind of like, you don't know anything about me. And she makes a hand signal. Did you notice that?
Yeah. It was like, it wasn't go fuck yourself because it wasn't like a middle finger, but it was like it was like the letter, the letter B in sign language. It was weird.
It's so I looked it up later on, and it definitely it's a belter hand signal, basically, like you said, meaning go fuck yourself.
Mm.
And he sees it, and he kind of like smirks, like he knows what she's doing. So it's like kind of giving the middle finger kind of thing. So
Gotcha.
But yeah, I was like, that's really interesting that they put that in there. So they worked that out. That just
she's clearly savvy in the ways of interrogation.
Yes, exactly. You've been interrogated before.
We've been here before, have we not? Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, it was a confusing scene because it could just be character, but it could also be defiance of Mars, and it could be O.P.A. training. So, like, it's to be determined.
and the thing is that she's very even like I've said, I've watched ahead further. She has a very veiled past, so we don't know what her past is yet. I don't know what her past is, and it's like there's something going on. There's more going on with her than we know. Mm-hmm. So there's something going on there. So I guess stay tuned, kind of thing.
Yeah. Or I don't know that it's her. I don't know that she's the O.P.A. agent, though.
I don't think so either. I think he's just trying to seed doubts and conspiracy between the crew members, surviving crew members of the Canterbury. So
right. I don't know. I've suspected everyone at this point, except for the doctor, who's and
we'll find out about him later.
Right, but like now at this point, I'm like, okay, Alex, was that the pilot's name?
Yes.
He could have gone to the O.P.A., leaving a 20-year commission and then going and working on a freighter. Like, that's possible. Yeah. But he could have also been like, I've had enough. I'm going to the O.P.A.
Right.
But after 20 years, you're like, nah, I think I'm going to retire and find like some remedial job to do.
Right.
So the ice thing makes sense. So like, I don't know that it's him, but like, the dumb brains, the dumb muscle that has famous, like no brain. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you could just be a piece of shit double agent. You could be. The doctor could have been as well, though. And why does he keep digging out a French fry? Like, I wanted to bring it up last week, but it was like,
I think it's like there's some kind of like drug to like to relax them,
Of course.
And shaped like a French fry,
but it looks like a French fry, and like I had to laugh at myself because I was like, I went to like straight to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and I was like, the everlasting French fry.
Just keep eating.
Just regrows itself.
That would be evil. French fries regrow themselves. I'd be like the fattest person possible.
Yeah.
French fries, you just keep that refillable French fry container.
As long as once it goes into your mouth or hits your stomach acid, it doesn't like regrow itself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Now you have French fry worms. No, what do I do for that? Sorry, it's inoperable.
So yeah, I was just saying that I've suspected everyone. So I don't know.
I suspect all of them. Then we jump back onto the Ceres docks, and the docks inspection is going on, and one of the Martians are trying to get water, and they're not giving him the water he needs, and then the dock workers start beating him up. And Joe Miller's there. He kind of gets in their faces, and he pulls a gun. And this is where we get the introduction to Anderson Dawes, the O.P.A. bigwig. So he's sort of like
our weird Irish Asian friend.
And he is, if you watch Chernobyl, he's like one of the main characters in there.
Still haven't.
Such a great series. I mean, it's only 8 episodes, but whew, what a great
Well, when I'm not working through the pandemic and reading Dune and watching The Expanse and cleaning my house and walking my dogs and
so in 3 years, you're saying.
when I get some time off, maybe I'll watch Chernobyl.
I know. I get breathing room. Yeah, exactly. I know, right? No, but it's good. It's a good series, and he's one of the main actors in it too. So
yeah, I really want to see it. I really do.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I believe that.
Jared Harris is the actor's name. So I think he does really good for his part. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a back and forth between Harris and Joe Miller, and they're sitting down and they talk about Julie Mao. Anderson Dawes basically, it's like, I don't know who she is, and I'll ask around for you. And then he kind of even asks, like, you know, what's your price? I mean, you're working for an Earth government agency. You're a belter. You should be working with us. You should be working for O.P.A. So he's trying to recruit Joe Miller into his organization.
Mm-hmm.
And Miller's like, yeah, I'm not interested, you know, but so.
Thanks,
but no thanks.
Which is, can I bring up the Mormons now?
The Mormons. Oh, the Mormons showed up and they're, would you like to come to the comedy club?
Yeah. So, like, it's funny because, like, what you just said reminded me, like, come to the dark side. And so, like, not that I'm, you know, if you're Mormon, I mean,
whatever.
I'm not, so that's fine. But
I just like that Mormons are. I just like the Mormons are in space.
You. Honestly, when the Mormons came up to what's his name, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll come to the comedy club," I was like, "Oh my god, are the Mormons the bad guys? Are the Mormons the ultimate power and they're killing everyone?"
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Holly.
Doors?
When you get to episode 5, there's more Mormons.
More Mormons.
Excellent. I'm just like, what? More Mormons. So I wouldn't have thought of that, but the Mormons are in space.
It's funny because, you know, well, no, we're not in that episode yet. Never mind. Keep going. You just reminded me of Mormons.
So they have the discussion between Dawes and Joe Miller talking about Julie. So, and basically he said, I'll ask around for you. All right. So, and then we get all the survivors of the Canterbury are put into the cell with Holden and Alex, and they're all kind of like, "Oh, Alex, you're with the Martians? Like, what are they like? Would they recruit you all of a sudden?" He goes, "No,
because they put him in his uniform." Like,
yeah, which is like terrible.
I think it was like, I don't know. Does it seem malicious to you?
Oh, they're definitely trying to get in their heads. This is like a psyops thing. They're just like doing things to psych them out. You know,
gotcha.
they're doing things to mess with their heads. So they're dividing the crew. So obviously they're telling everyone like Naomi's O.P.A. How well do we know Naomi? Mm-hmm. And obviously they're just going back and forth. And like the medic Shad. He's basically like, I told him everything. I even started making stuff.
Made some stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. I think I just made some stuff up in the end.
I really liked his character.
Yeah, I know. Too bad. So they're kind of like a fight in not like a huge fight at first, but they're definitely getting into each other's face. And at a certain point, Amos gets Alex in a headlock and he's choking him out. And he's like, "You make a great shield. You know, how many bullets do you think this guy will stop?" kind of thing. And this is where Holden's like, "All right, let's pump the brakes." And he starts yelling out like to.
Of course, nobody listens to Holden again.
Yeah, exactly. He starts yelling out, "I'm gonna talk. I want to talk to your captain. I'll tell you everything. Just let me go talk to your captain." And the Martians come in right away and are like, "All right, let's go. Let's go to the captain."
Did I miss the portion where he was holding back and not telling them something? Because
He's definitely very guarded. So
but there was no conversation like, well, when you're ready to talk, you know what I
no.
mean? And then he's like, I'll tell you everything, and I'm just like, I did not see anything that seemed out of place.
I think a part of it was trying to stop that fight a little bit because he was afraid that Amos was going to probably pop Alex's head off. So he knew if he got them in there that they might break it up, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's a thought. So when he gets taken up to the bridge and of the ship, and the captain's there of the Donnager, and she goes, "So Naomi's is a O.P.A sleeper agent, and the reason we know is because there's a ship coming and it's unidentified, and we're calling it. It's not answering our hails, and it looks like hostile intent. We think she sent a message to it." And Holden's like, "That doesn't mean anything. Why are you just putting Naomi into that?" And he says, "We need you to send a message out because you sent this message out that that the Martians destroyed the Cant, that we didn't do it.
You need to recant that statement."
Yeah, and he's like, "I'll tell you, I'll say whatever you want, but you got
if you save us all." And then they were like, throw Naomi under the bus, and he was like, "No,
I'm not doing that." So there's some back and
no evidence.
Yeah, there's some back and forth there between them, but the ship is coming in. Yeah. Then we go back to Ceres, and Miller is still looking into Julie Mao, and she sees this fight on the docks where he apparently got into some dock worker's face, and then he gets called by Octavia Muss, his commander, saying, "You got to get down to the Medina, this area. There's this big revolt going on." So, and they're saying Mars stole our water. Remember the Cant, and then violence erupts, and there's
somebody ends up dead.
Yeah, a bunch of people start fighting, and there's like kids in the way, and they got to get the kids out of there. So it's pretty bad. And then just before all the trouble really starts hitting is Havelock, Joe Miller's partner, peels off because he hears that Gia's in trouble, so he takes off and goes to help her. Then we get a UN meeting that there's a big meeting, and they're saying that DeGraaf called Mars, and then also we watch the trace that calls to 9 different facilities that are making stealth tech and seeing if anything was missing. So DeGraaf took that intel that Chrisjen told him during dinner, and then they were like, "Hey, one of your operatives either stole Martian
check
stealth
inventory because shit's hitting the fan."
And then Chrisjen sits there, and she deduces that
it wasn't Mars.
It wasn't Mars. Mars was Mars was taking, like you said, taking inventory, and they're saying nothing's missing, everything's here. So, and unfortunately, the fallout is Franklin DeGraaf, Christian's lifelong friend, has now been banned for life from Mars. And
because he was essentially a God. Had some wine. He's a liability. Yeah. Because he essentially exposed 2 to 3 bases that were unknown to the Earthens.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and they were watching what he was doing. So
exactly.
And they tracked all that shit.
Right. So he did the right thing, but he got fucked over for it.
He got fucked over, and he says, at least you had the dignity of stabbing me in the chest instead of the back.
Right.
And he says, you scare me because you will do anything to win. And he was like, and I won't play with you ever again. So basically,
and this is where we learn that he was friends with her father, and when she was like a little child. So that was cool.
Yeah,
Gives a little bit of a backstory.
Great backstory and great interaction with those two characters, and but you really get the idea that Chrisjen does not play softball. She's hardball through and through. So she's going to get results, and she's going to make problems. If you don't play ball with her, or
she making waves.
Yeah, she'll do things whatever you like. I mean, she'll do things. She'll do things, and you'll be sorry. So after the revolt in Medina, Joe Miller is going through all the wreckage and seeing all these dead people, and he sees this dead guy who's the guy on that Tinder app that Julie Mao had. So he's like, oh, this is the guy. So I'm gonna look into this guy. And then we get a quick scene where Havelock is ambushed, and he is impaled with a giant spike by these O.P.A. guys, and their last words, remember the Cant. And that's where we leave off on this episode, remember the Cant.
Which it doesn't make sense that they would kill an Earthian? What are they calling them? If they're not calling them Earthlings, Earther. They killed an Earther police officer in the belt, or a police officer in the belt from Earth,
right,
when this was supposedly an attack from Mars. So it was very misplaced that they decided to do this. It
was. I'll give you that, but I also think that they're just pissed off at Earth and Mars. So.
And both have really hurt the belt, but the fact that they were like, remember that Cant, it was like, okay, but
I didn't do anything.
Earth have to do with it. However, if Earth does have something to do with it, maybe the Belters know something that we don't yet know.
Right.
So it was very weird. It was misplaced. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Now we're going to the next episode. This is CQB. This is the name of the episode, and its air date was December 29th, 2015. And it starts off in the morgue, and we have Joe Miller looking at this dead guy that he found after the violence erupted in Medina. And this is Busy Bedenko. Busy Bedenko. And he's trying to figure out who this guy is, and he gets like an address off him from the coroner that's going through, and he wants to, hey, can I process him for
recycling?
We
really need some fertilizer.
He's like,
nah, hold off.
not yet. So, and then we get back to the Donnager on the Martian Navy ship, and we get that this ship is coming in really fast, this unknown ship, and they start getting ready for basically to fight. So they shoot torpedoes, and then the Donnager shoots torpedoes, and they
dodge them all.
And then the surviving members of the Canterbury, who are still in the jail cell, all sit down and strap themselves in because they don't know what's going to happen. And Holden is still up on the bridge with the captain at this time, and he's told to strap in soon too. So, and then we jump back to Earth. We have Chrisjen. She's on the roof. Obviously, she's probably thinking about all the bullshit going up in space right now, because what's happening is they know that there's issues going on with the Martian Navy, and who knows what they're running into, because they have the surviving members of the Canterbury. So, and she's sitting on the roof, and her grandson comes out to see her, and they start talking about meteorites and rocks. And Chrisjen says I worry about people who throw rocks. So, because they're talking about obviously the Martians, she thinks might be starting a war.
And this whole, I know last time I had like two things to say, was that the kid was a brat, and I don't remember the other thing I said, but like he started talking to her, and I was like, okay, maybe he's not an asshole. And then when he leaves her and he's like, you're no fun, I was like, this motherfucker. I was so mad.
It happens. Yeah, so she's kind of like deep in thought and sitting on the roof, and now we jump back onto the Donnager, and Donnager is now firing their rail guns. So that means that they're in close combat. That's what Alex, the pilot, says. He goes, "Uh-oh, if they're firing rail guns, they're in close combat." So that's obviously an issue, and
just a wee bit.
It could be a problem. And then up on the bridge, that Lopez, the interrogating guy, is talking to Holden. He's talking about how Earth is covered in oceans. His great grandfather used to talk about it, and saying how he can't even imagine what oceans are. And he's basically saying that Earth people don't appreciate what they have, and they destroy everything, and the Martians are going to take over, the universe or whatever, or the solar system, whatever.
Right.
And Holden's like, okay, whatever, I don't care.
It was an interesting exchange.
It was.
It made me like Lopez, but
yeah,
it didn't. I don't know. The conversation ended. It didn't feel purposeful. Maybe it will in the future. I mean, granted, at the end of this episode, he does call back to that conversation, but it just didn't feel purposeful. You know what I mean?
And it didn't, but I think they're trying to give like an exposition of how Martians feel about Earth, because Martians have to work very hard for the planet they live on. And
we're all out here just like,
hey, it's ocean
concrete
time.
Jungle.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Back on Ceres, Joe Miller goes to Busy Bedenko's place, and there's a party going on. It's called a Slingshot Club, and they're all betting on this guy, Busy Bedenko's. He's on the ship that's slingshotting around the planets, and it's some kind of extreme sport. We're not really know what's going on, but there's got to be like 50 to 40 people in that small apartment.
In this weird little, in the race too.
Right. And they're all betting and they're all stuff like that. And,
right. And they're all in Busy's apartment, and he's like
watching him,
following the lead. And so like there are all these people in this guy's apartment, and he's like, "What the fuck are you motherfuckers doing?" And he's like, "Yo, Busy's dead." And they're like, "No, he ain't."
No, there he is on the screen right there.
The race. And
then Busy dies during the slingshot race. And they're all like, you should have bet.
Now he's dead.
And Joe Miller's like, okay, if that was Busy Bedenko, who do I have sitting on the morgue?
Right.
So like he's like, okay, what the fuck is this about? So this guy is whoever that guy, he fooled me. And then we jump to a totally different place we haven't been before. This is Tycho Station. It's like a shipyard where they're building ships. And we get the Mormons again.
The Mormons. And they hire a man named Fred Johnson, and he is constructing a massive ship called the Nauvoo. And they're going to take the Mormons on a 100-year voyage to another star system. So I'm assuming they're going to like Alpha Centauri or something like that. So that's the closest star system to Earth, to our solar system. But who knows? And they're like, well, we think we need a change in management, and we hired you because you knew a lot of you knew what you're doing, but now we think we need to change things up. And he goes, "Oh, really?
A lot of problems could happen on a 100-year voyage. A lot of glitches on a ship. I wouldn't want to see that if you just bring in somebody new." And they're like, "Well, we'll take it under consideration. We don't have anybody lined up yet.
You can keep your job. We'll let you know."
Right. And then so he lets off his Mormon boss or client, and he then makes a call right when he leaves. Like, I need you to point all the sensors to the Donnager.
Well, at first he convinces that guy. He's like, look, he intimidates him, he bullies him, manipulates him, and then he's like, good, I'm going to need you to evacuate this ship so that my guys can get to work.
Yep.
And then he drops him off, and then when the doors close, he calls his buddy, and he's like, the Mormons are going on vacation for the weekend.
Kick the Mormons off the ship. And I have to point all the sensors at the Donnager. I need to know an update right away what's happening. So
right.
This Fred Johnson somehow tied in with what's going on with the Donnager.
Either the Donnager or this new
stealth ship that's attacking them.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And
the Mormonians.
And so like I said, they're having the CQB, the close quarters combat or combat. Boy, I keep on saying this wrong. But anyways, they're fighting real close, and this is where Holden's up on the bridge and he sees the ship and he goes, "I've seen that ship before. That's the ship that destroyed the Canterbury." And they're like, "You got to go tell everybody this." And the captain tells Lopez, the interrogator, take Holden, get him on a shuttle, and make sure that he can testify that Mars was not responsible for the destruction.
Why did it not occur at that moment?
For what?
Why didn't he say, that ship is the one responsible, get me a comm, get me a camera, I will testify now. I mean, bargaining chips, yes, maybe that was the only reason why he didn't offer up to do it then, but you're facing death, and yes, you're on a naval warship, but
that ship was blocking their transmissions.
Was it though? Because
I
don't think it was said. Because I was listening, and maybe I just missed it. I do have no idea.
I do think that maybe that it was thrown out there as a blurb, like they're blocking our transmissions or dropping something to that nature.
I hope so, because it
wouldn't make any sense if they weren't.
Exactly.
Because he could just get on in front of a camera and just broadcast that shit.
Exactly, before they all die.
Right. So he's so they're gonna get him with a bunch of space marines or something that sort. I don't know what they were, but they're all taking him through the ship. During that point, then let's see. Back with the rest of the members of the Canterbury. This is where Alex says they're kind of getting him shit, and he's like, "I was a glorified bus driver. I wasn't anything special. I was just served for the Martian Navy." That's basically it. And he starts freaking out because he knows that they're in close combat, and then the engines die, and he's like, "This is not good," because they all go weightless for a moment. And this is where Shed's like, "Here, take this drug, the never-ending French fry." And he goes to throw it, and all of a sudden, it doesn't reach his hand, and Shed has been decapitated by something that's shot through the hull of the ship.
Some kind of debris or
weapon or
torpedo or something.
And literally,
no more French fries for you.
No French fries for you. And poor Shed got his head taken right off his shoulders. And Naomi's like, "We got to seal that holes." And she looks through, and it's going right through, all through the ship. So she's she uses a binder.
They use binders, yeah. Binder and a sealant of some sort that they found in a compartment, which the naval officer would have known about. So I'm glad it was written in this way.
Yeah, and I think it's a really cool idea that just have obviously it's a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
It's you're going to need that. Especially on the ship, if something bursts through the hull, you need to close up that hole right away. So they plug that hole.
What's that? TV commercial with the guy who's got the.
I forgot the name of that.
And they spray the screen door and they put it at the bottom of the boat. That's what it was.
They put the screen door on the submarines. So yeah. No, I know it. Yeah, it's the same idea. Maybe not quite as advanced as that.
As advanced as the screen door. I think that the binder was just fine.
That just worked just fine. I thought it was that's pretty cool though. You could just use anything as long as it can seal the airflow. Well, unfortunately, they only have 20 minutes of air, so
Which it would have helped without the seal, but it wouldn't have been as effective. So I'm glad they had the sealant.
Right. It would still be, the air would be sucking out. So they plug the hole, and then the ship is being boarded by this unknown stealth ship. So the Martian ship has been boarded, and they're trying to get Holden off, but obviously they're now having literal firefights on the ship, which is not a good thing. And they're trying to get him off the Donnager, but then Holden at some point peels off from the group, and he's going to rush to get to the rest of his crewmates because he wants them off the ship as well.
Right.
So, and then back in the prison cell, they say, because they're losing air, they find a sedative, and they're just like, hey, if somebody takes a sedative, you're going to breathe less. So they decide that it's going to be Alex, the pilot, is going to do it because they want Naomi awake because she's the most resourceful. Amos says, I have to stay awake because I got to carry somebody. I'm the biggest guy. So Alex takes the
Which
sedative.
is he, though? Because Alex is tall. I feel like they would weigh a very similar amount. Amos doesn't seem very
Amos has got some guns on his arms, man. That guy he's got big arms.
Maybe I'll see that in coming episodes, but
watch Amos's arms.
I don't know. Muscle weighs a lot more than fat does.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not a bit of fat on the other guy, so, like, as far as muscle goes, yeah, I could see that. But, right. I don't know. I was just like, okay. And it made sense. It was a good option. It was something I noticed. I was like, I don't know. He's, like, short. I don't see that he's very muscular.
Amos definitely plays up the big brute kind of character. So he's definitely, he's saying, I can carry you. So Amos says he takes a sedative, and he says, I want to wake up. So he goes to sleep. And then I have a moment where Naomi kind of sits down, and she's very upset, and Amos holds her hand. So it's obviously this is shaking Naomi a bit. What's happening?
And she lets on that there is someone that she cares about.
Yeah, she goes, I never even got to say goodbye. And he goes, what are you talking about? And he's like, she doesn't get into it. So
right.
That's why, again, I think there's more to Naomi's story. We're not getting everything. More is going to be revealed with her. I'm positive with her.
Honestly, my first thought, first of all...
You thought it was Shed?
No, in the first couple episodes, I was like, okay, this guy's unhealthily obsessed with her, with Naomi.
I know. He's like her lapdog.
Yeah, he is. And then when she said that, I was like... I was considering, and I was like, okay... as far as characters we've already been introduced to, what if she was in love with Holden's girlfriend too?
Interesting.
And I was like, because I mean, it's really the only character we've seen that kind of has a backstory that's died aside from the Doctor.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, maybe, I mean, it could be the Doctor, but it didn't seem that way. And not that it seemed that way with the chick who died, but they worked closely together. Right. So I was like, I wonder if maybe she was with Holden's girl, and maybe that's why she and Holden are kind of like butting heads.
Right. It's possible, very much so. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm a couple episodes forward, and I still don't know. So there's something.
Well, don't you dare tell me.
I'm not going to say anything. So now we're back at the morgue, and we have on Ceres with the supposed busy Bedanko, and Joe Miller calls in Octavia Muss and say, "I need your help." And she looks at this guy, and she finds out he has an ID spoofer. So it'll circulate IDs to make you think, to make basically cops go looking for a certain person that he's totally not. So it's actually a pretty cool idea. It's like
It is, but how do you decide who you're gonna impersonate? Because it's the same guy every time.
I think there must be some way that it spoofs you. It's like an email spoof. If you ever get an email that looks like somebody that sent you, and then you find out it wasn't them at all, they're trying to get information from you. It happens a lot, and now they're doing with even phone numbers. Now phone numbers are calling people that looks like it's like somebody, like it'll be in your area code, but then it'll be like you find out that this was not somebody. It's like somebody trying to get information from you over
I've
the phone.
heard about it, but I honestly I don't answer any phone calls from we're military, so we got our phones in North Carolina. I do not answer any unknown calls from North Carolina because they're always trash calls.
Right, exactly. And because someone's calling you, it's like that's definitely not anybody I know that unless the phone that you have preset on your contacts list. So he has a spoofer, and this Octavia Moss is going through and says, "Oh, let's see what else he has." And he's got all this stuff that's tricked out in his body, and then he finds that he has a memory crypt that's in there, so in his leg, and so there's this really gory scene where he's trying to extract it.
Is it really gory, or is
it's not really gory? But
it's comedically.
It is, yeah.
Gory.
It's like he's like keeps stabbing the leg, and he's like,
well, he's not like he feels it.
It's not like he feel it. He keeps messing up trying to get this thing, and finally he grabs it, and it's
because he doesn't. It was a really funny comical moment actually, because she's like, "I'll go get the mortician," and he's like, no, that guy talks too much. I'll just do it. And he does not succeed. So, way to have respect for the dead, my man.
He's stabbing in the leg constantly. And he's stabbing in the leg. He gets this chip out, and it's a encrypted chip that has government records on it. So, and he finds out that he's a data broker. That's what he's officially called. So,
his name is Data.
Data. Then we find out now that Havelock, Joe Miller's partner, is still alive, and he's been found alive. So, interesting. He's not dead. So, that didn't kill him.
He was put on the wall with a fucking railroad tie.
I know, shot through his chest, and he's still alive. How's that possible?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, we don't know a lot about him, which is what I was saying about, him having a sister or whatever this lady was. I mean, honestly, if it was his sister, she wouldn't be so revealed. So I guess maybe calling her like a sister is a little far-fetched. But I don't know. I don't know that he's earthen.
Well, he could be tricked out. Like we have that data broker who we thought was Busy Bedanko, and maybe this Earther is tricked out as much. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So
trying to get sleepers in the belt, getting sleepers on Earth, and also in Mars. I mean, who knows?
Right. So now we're going to go back to Holden, who's running through the Donnager away from his escorts to try to get back to his crew members of the Canterbury, and he runs into like a carnage of a lot of dead soldiers on the ground, and there's this mystery soldier that's sitting there, but he sees a gun and he was going to grab it, and the
soldier is like, I'm
still alive. I'm still alive, bitch. And he tries to get the gun, but the gun won't fire because it's it's coded for just his armor. So it's like, you can't
shoot yourself in armor.
Yes, you can't shoot yourself without the armor, stupid. And there was this weird tech where his arm got blown off, and then it's the suit
sealed itself.
I know. I was like,
and I was like, okay, they need to take his body. They need that suit.
They know.
They need this, and they did not do that. And I was
high tech shit.
I was disappointed.
I know, so pretty cool. So,
dragging a dead body with like your life on the line. I mean, that's kind of tough, but like, it could probably take an extra 20 seconds to strip the guy and take the suit. I don't know.
Take the suit. So he gets onto he gets to the rest of his crew members, and he brings them spacesuits. They're running out of air, so thankfully he does come at the right time. And I guess they pumped air into the room, and they're like, "Just come on, get dressed, get out of here. We're gonna get you on the shuttle, and get you the hell out of the ship."
Well, Holden makes a deal first.
Yes, basically, like, I mean, I got to do this for my crew, kind of thing.
Right.
And he says, "What's going on? Like, what?" He goes to this Lopez, the interrogator guy. He's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And he says that the Phoebe station, that there was an attack on there, and all the people on the station were killed, and computers stuff was taken off the computers, and it was somebody whoever attacked it was covering up what they did. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, "Okay, so what's that about?" And he goes, "I don't know, but I think this is all tied together somehow." So we don't know, but the Phoebe station ties in, obviously, the Scopuli, and now the Canterbury, and now the Donnager. So all these attacks are happening, and we don't know who's doing all this shit.
Right.
So, and then they get
It's not the Mormons, because they're at the comedy club.
What's the deal?
What is the deal?
So they're going to go. They get a message from the captain that the captain is going to scuttle the ship. So apparently the ship is in far worse shape than it was that they thought, and the Donnager is going to be destroyed because of this attack. And then they get to the shuttle bay, and they have to run across this platform. There's this huge, long. This took so much wind out of my sails. I was like, can we just?
Did.
I was like, this is way too long.
There were 4. They had to go in waves, and it was like, okay, if you're going to cover, do the entire fucking wave.
I know they keep on putting cover fire
2 at a time, and
right.
I was like, look, there are 5 of you. You need to go faster. You need to all go as a team. One person cover, one person go with, and fire at will. Like, I was bothered by this scene.
Yeah, right.
This is not why Sci-Fi decided to cancel, but I was bothered by this scene.
It just took way too long. So yeah, Amos takes Alex, carries him. Amos gets shot. Lopez is obviously gets shot as well, and then Holden is. They go 0G for some reason during the thing, and all of a sudden he has to help Naomi, and he tethers her and he kicks her so she moves forward, and then he can help her move forward as well through this weird thing. But it's just
I think what he was doing, yes, he pushed her, but I think what he was doing was he was using the momentum to kick off of her to get him to the ground, which is when he clicked his boots. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't necessarily that he was using her momentum. It was that he was using her to create momentum.
Right. Exactly. He used her way to propel her and himself forward so he can do more.
She went forward, he went back. Yeah.
It was
weird. They didn't. The theory didn't match what they showed.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Right. It was very aggravating, honestly.
Yeah.
So the scene it was in slow motion too. I was like, can we just move forward? I don't know. It just bothered me. This whole scene made me okay. And so they jump on the ship and everyone's wounded, and Alex goes to fly
still slightly sedated. You're not supposed to what's the verbiage? Do not operate machinery.
Right.
He should not have been flying.
No, and he crashes into a couple things as he starts taking off, but fortunately enough that he does get the ship, the small ship off the Donnager, and they fly away, and
they use an Oscar Hagen key and detonate the entire ship and scuttle. Well, scuttle it in space as much as you can scuttle in space. Essentially, you just detonate the whole ship.
You blew it up. And
I had a problem with the word scuttle.
Why?
I get it. I get that it's a naval warship, but when you scuttle a boat, you fill it with water and it goes to the bottom of the sea. Right. So the fact that they self-destructed, that was not scuttling. I mean, I guess I can see using the phrase.
Right.
But I was like, that wasn't scuttling. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just an asshole.
Well, no, I mean, it's just, like you said, it's a naval thing. So that's the end of the episode. They take off on their ship. They're live to fight another day. Unfortunately, the crew of the Donnager don't make it. So, and we'll have to see what happens for them afterward.
But Lopez is there.
Lopez is there, but Lopez got shot. He's not doing too good.
Yeah, I honestly, so when they were crossing the catwalk of shame and hellfire, I was like, man, I was really just starting to like that guy, and now he's gonna die. And then he showed back up, and I was like, oh, he's alive. Now I can decide whether or not I like or hate him. And then he's like partially dying, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm mad or if I'm disappointed or if I'm happy because he was kind of a dick.
Right.
But like, he can't have died yet. I mean, he was sent with essentially a flash drive to make that has to get to safety, and so does what's his name? Holden. I was going to say Hollard. I do have to read the name in order to remember it. And I think it was on his helmet, but for some reason I just can't visualize it. So the fact that he was, I don't know, he should have been able to like explained it briefly, given him the thing. If you survive, give
this information. Right. You have to testify,
Yeah.
Because Mars is going to try to start this war, or they're going to try to start a war with Mars because of what happened with the Canterbury. So.
Right. Which at this point, the whole deal for the crew's safety was that they all had to testify. It wasn't just Holden who had to testify. It was everyone. And so who's going to hold them to that if everybody from the Mars ship is dead?
You're right. Nobody knows if they need or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
interesting.
So this is these two episodes. I highly enjoyed both of these. It sounds like you did too. Any other thoughts on these? Like after taking these both in?
I mean, I kind of said a lot because it's easier to kind of interject when it's only two people.
Well, you're talking.
So like I could kind of throw things in there. As far as what's happening in the belt, I'm not super invested.
Okay.
I'm more invested in the who is to blame. So like I'm more invested in like the crew that's out in space because I want to know who's to blame.
Do you really think that the one of the crew? I mean, you think one of the crew members is actually tied into the actual destruction of the Canterbury, or do you think they're just? I think the Martians were trying to sow like doubt in with their crew members, like try to turn them against each other. That's how I felt about it.
If they are tracked down again, they would be creating curiosity. So like if they're tracked down again, then yeah, I would say either someone is guilty or the showrunners want us to think that someone is guilty.
Okay.
It's hard to say because we know so little already about this ragtag crew.
Right. I mean, because like Naomi is to me is the most mysterious right now. But like Holden, we know a little bit. We know that he was, like he said, he was raised on Montana, but he hasn't been back to Earth in 12 years. So there's questions there. He was dishonorably discharged from the Earth Navy. Obviously Shed's dead, so there's not much to say about him. I mean, maybe there's something there, but
yeah.
Amos is kind of a blank slate.
Yeah. Amos is curious to me.
So Amos is my least favorite character.
Yeah, I don't care for him.
I kind of hate him.
Yeah.
And I've watched a little more, and I've maybe stopped hating him as much, but I just do. He really frustrates me in some ways. So
I don't
like that he's, first of all, he's so hot tempered.
Mm-hmm.
I dislike that. And then secondly, he's like Naomi's lapdog. Like, he doesn't think for himself.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating. So
to go off of that, I don't like that he seems like muscles and an idiot. He doesn't seem like a free thinker. Mm-hmm. He's also a dick. Like,
he definitely, I mean, he doesn't mind, hitting you, choking you, whatever. He'll do it if he has to, or if he feels like he wants to. Yeah. Right.
And it's like, I don't respect that. Right. I really don't respect that. So I don't know. I don't know. As far as all of the characters, I was actually most excited about the Doctor.
Oh, yeah, Shed.
Not just like that the actor. I haven't seen that actor in a long time in anything.
Right. Yeah.
So when I was like, oh my God, yay, this is great. And then his head gets blown off.
Right? Like, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, so we still have the muscles, nitwit.
Yeah.
But we lose the Doctor. I was like, it's not a fair trade.
So his name's Shed, and there's a Monty Python skit. I'll send it to you later. It's called Arthur Two Sheds Jackson.
Okay.
And it's the stupidest thing. It's like an interview about this composer, but everyone calls him Two Sheds, and he's like, "Why did they call you Two Sheds?" And apparently he has two sheds for some reason, but he doesn't really care about the name, but then they keep asking about the two sheds. It's so funny. It's all I can think about when I hear his name is Shed, is Arthur Two Sheds Jackson. I'll send it to you later. It's so funny.
Send it to me. There are other names that are evoking weird little memories for me. Go through the character names for me real quick.
Well, Holden, I think of Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye.
Okay.
Then Amos and Andy.
Amos is just an ass, and every time you say Amos, I'm like, he's just an ass.
Amos the asshole.
Amos is an anus.
Yeah, Amos the anus. Naomi.
Nothing really sparks for me there. I want to like her character.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. I think Naomi Campbell, the old model from the 90s.
Okay.
Joe Miller.
Miller.
He's a detective. He's just that typical guy.
I like the actor, so like the name's not bringing anything, but there are at least two other names that every time you say it.
Havelock,
Havelock and Hemlock. That I always think Hemlock when you say Havelock. And I'm like, oh wait.
Hemlock maneuver. He's making maneuvers. Let's see. And then Octavia Moss is like
Octavia Spencer. I keep thinking of the actress Octavia Spencer, and then I get confused. Okay.
I think of Octavia Butler, who was an author, so I think of her.
Okay.
And then
there's another one that like is strong. I haven't mentioned yet.
Andrew Dawes.
Dawes.
Yeah, Dawes. And then Julie Mao.
Mao. Okay.
I'll say Tom.
Every time you say Julie Mao, I think of the Beatles song.
Oh,
When he's like, when you go carrying pictures of
tell
Gemma
me now.
now.
You ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yep.
like, Julie Mao, get out of
Now,
my head.
get out of my head, John Lennon. Um, yeah, no, yeah. There's definitely some like notable names. I don't know if that was done on purpose or if it's just names that came to them while they're, writing the story. So it's always weird how they come
Maybe
up
they
with
just
names.
like used like lineage and ancestry and names to just kind of bleed into this world to help make it feel realistic. Who
I like
knows?
it too. I like it because there's definitely, like Christian. Yeah, obviously she must be Indian.
Mhm.
So, you get in like an Indian feel, and then you have obviously you have Caucasians, you have Asians, you have black, and I mean it's just so
You've
it's just
got
cool,
you've got
you know.
old Irishmen that sound like they're from Asia.
Old Irishman,
He
Anderson
does.
Dawes,
He does. What was that? Was that his name? The prominent
Anderson,
O.P.A. agent,
yeah, Anderson Dawes, yeah.
Anderson
He,
Dawes. He sounds like I could not place like while watching him talk. I couldn't place where the hell
yeah.
he sounded from, and then I was like, this sounds like an imitation of an Asian person. Like
I didn't pick up Asian. I could
they
hear it though.
dropped
Now that you say it,
he dropped certain consonants that I just was like,
I do wonder if they're doing like they've worked out like this. So they have the Belter Creo, and I wonder if there's an accent they've created for Belters too. Because you don't
maybe,
hear
but he
everyone
didn't
talk
sound
like
like
that.
a belter. He did not sound like a belter.
Right, right. But yeah, there's definitely some cool characters. There's some cool. I don't know. There's a lot going on here, and I
Yeah.
just can't wait. I can't wait to find out more about this crew, the Canterbury. Obviously, they've escaped another ship destruction, and let's see where they go from there. Hopefully, they don't. Another ship doesn't get blown up on them, and I know it's like every ship they get on is like this one's blowing up. And then Joe Miller trying to figure out the Julie Mao story, or the thread there and how that's tied in, because obviously she's on the Scopoli, which was destroyed by this mystery ship that
I
killed
want
the
to know where she is. I want to know how many
I
episodes it
know,
takes to find out where
to
she
find out
is.
where she went to. I
Maybe the
know.
season finale will find out where she is, and then the next season will kind of like be about her. I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
I want to know if she's alive or dead. And I think
Yeah.
we all do.
No, that's kind of like the big mystery, right? So, yeah, there's a lot to go there for there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked up the Anderson Dawes. His name's Jared Harris, and like I said, he's also in Chernobyl. He's an Irish actor, I guess.
He's Irish.
Yeah, he's Irish.
Okay, because my first thought was Irish, and I was like, no, he does not sound Irish. And then he was doing something weird, and I was like, well, he's visually, he's got very white hair. He's visually of Irish descent, but he does not sound Irish, and it sounded very Asian to me.
It's funny because when I see him, because he's Irish, I'm like, that could be me in another 10 years.
Yes, yes. Red-haired, honestly, I love it. I love it.
He's definitely got that like Irish look. I'm like, yeah, I could see myself looking a little bit like
You're
that guy.
you're going to go Snow White. You're not going to have salt and pepper. You are going Snow
Yeah.
White. That is how it's happening.
It's good. It's all white.
It's going to happen.
I'll just wait. I'll just wake up. I wake up one day.
Just white. Yeah. I hope to God I just go bright white.
Bright white. I know.
I do. My hairs are so weird though. I have clear, I have black, I have red, I have gold. I've got brown. And seriously, as a woman any women listening, we have this tendency to put our hair on the wall because we don't want to have to clean the drain out later, because we are the ones that have to clean the drain out later. So we put our hair on the wall.
Right.
And like I have these hairs, and I have got like clear hairs and dark black hairs, and I don't want salt. I would be okay with salt and pepper, but I want white hair.
Well, I'm definitely in my beard. I'm getting little whites coming through now. So, he's also plays in Carnival Row, which I don't know. He plays someone called Absalon Breakspear, but I haven't seen Carnival Row yet. But Holly, that looks like a series that you would like.
Carnival Row, the Amazon show.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen
you?
the first season. I really do like it, and actually,
it looks good. I haven't seen it, so
it is really good.
So, and then he's also in the Foundation. He's playing one of the main characters, Harry Sheldon. So he's going to be in the Foundation series, which we should cover too when that comes out. Mm-hmm. Looks like it's coming out soon, but I think that's Apple, so that might be hard to get our hands on that one.
Yeah, I'm not an Apple product person.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything against Apple products. I would love
it's too damn expensive.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, I would love to switch to an Apple phone because I feel like when you have Apple products, Apple replaces everything or updates or works on, and they actually do a really good job as opposed to... Sadly, I don't want to say my brand because until this phone, I have really loved their brand. So I don't know. Hey,
it's okay to change brands once in a while. It's all right.
I don't want Apple phone. I don't want to change my. I don't want to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far as Apple TV goes, I don't think I'll ever get to see anything on Apple TV.
I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe it's some crossover and something. I'll see if the Foundation goes on anything else. It doesn't say anything here.
We're just peons. We enjoy shows and we talk about them, but we don't actually know any inside fun
we
things.
Don't know. We don't know any of the inside knowledge.
You know what we know? We know each other.
We know each other, and I know Arthur Two Sheds Jackson. Yeah, great episodes. I'm really digging this. It's going to be great, and this mystery just keeps on getting deeper. So
yeah. I do have to say it's hard not to watch more than 2 episodes, but
I know.
Honestly,
I couldn't stop myself today. I was like, I got to watch some more.
With the amount that you, myself, and David all divert during any given episode,
yeah,
I cannot watch more than the 2 episodes that we're going to discuss because...
They jump around a lot.
Well, not just that, but I cannot be held responsible for talking about another episode.
Divulging more information.
Exactly. And so as for me, thank you so much for not, talking about episodes 5 and 6 while we talk about this. So thank you so much. I cannot say that I would be able to do that. So, and I'm not saying I have not. I don't think I've ruined anything for anybody in the past, but...
No, it's cool. I mean, sometimes you say little things by accident, but you don't mean to. I mean, because just because
you get
you know
excited,
something,
you get on a roll, and then you go...
say something like, oh, I said something, I should have said that.
Exactly.
So next week we'll try to jump into some more Expanse and see what else we can get into. I think I just love talking about it. So it's just a totally new universe, and it's so fun to get into it. So
yes.
If you have different thoughts or if you have more information for us, you can definitely contact us. You can go to our Facebook page, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. Join us there and chime in, whatever you like to say. Also, you can email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can tweet at us at synthaholicsduo, and you can obviously go to our Patreon if this is something you want to support and help our show. We greatly appreciate it. Go to Patreon.com/synthaholics and throw us a couple bucks our way. We appreciate any support you can give us because we have no legs and we need the support.
we need a third leg.
We need another leg. Next week we'll have Dave back and we can talk some more about the next couple episodes.
I might not be here next week, guys.
Oh, no, it's gonna be just another duo again.
I know, but my husband's coming back. And
that's right.
Hopefully coming back, and I'm gonna want to spend time with him, and
you gotta hang out with him.
To talking about things.
Go on some dates.
Yes,
because hopefully COVID thing will be somewhat lifted that you guys can go out and do. Well, you can still. You don't have to go anything fancy. You can just go to a nice park and have a nice picnic.
Well, we need to buy a grill.
Oh.
So we can grill our own food. Michael's
not
a
a
chef.
date.
Not a date. It's a date when you don't have the TV interrupting you or other people around. It's a date, whether you go out or not. I guess
it could be romantic buying a grill.
Definitely.
I've never been that romantically attached to grills, but
Michael's a chef. His love language is food.
I'll tell you what. My wife has a cousin that dated this guy for a minute, and
just a minute.
This guy was so amazing grilling. So we came and visited her for a little bit, and he would grill this amazing food. And then she broke up with him, and I was angry at her because his food was so fucking good. I was like, how dare you break up with him? It was the best meals I've ever had on the grill. So,
dude, if Michael had time when I was living in Buffalo to cook you food, I mean, you would have been good, huh? Yes. Everything is just glorious.
I am not very good at it. I can grill, but I'm not good at it. I can do it. I'm competent. That's it.
Yeah.
I can tie my shoes.
You can tie your shoes. It's funny because when we got married, I know I just totally interrupted your end speech, but when we got married, it was he could do everything but breakfast, and I could do breakfast.
I can do breakfast.
Eggs are hard. Eggs
can eggs are you need to hit it right in the right spot and the right heat, and it doesn't work if you mess it up, for sure.
Yeah. But I might not be ready. I might not be here next week or the following week.
Okay.
So
we'll work it out either way, but we'll miss you if you're not here, but I totally get it. It's grill time.
It's grill time.
Right. Well, for more grilling news and for more Expanse TV shows coming to next week, and we'll have a lot of fun talking about it. Until then, live long and prosper, one and all. Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink, and we'll cry till we